All right, 100 Statute 1636, Public Law 99-499, October 17th, 1986. Superfund and Refund, Superfund and Refund Recovery Act, Section 110, Health-Related Authority, Section 141, Circle is amended as follows: the circle 1 after the I with the redesignated 1 and 2 with the 3 and 4 with the subparagraph of the A, B, C, D, and E with the paragraph of the 1 circle of the Health Administrator and circle of the Social Security Administrator, the Secretary, Transportation, Appropriate State Local Health Official. Insert chromosomal testing paragraph D within redesignated paragraph 1 subsection found where appropriate and found the new paragraph at the end of there within 6 months of the enactment. Superfund Superfund Amendment of the Reauthorization Act 1986 the Administrator of the Agency Taxes of the Disease Registry and Administrator of the Environmental Protection Agency prepare a lift in the order prior to the lift of the 100 half of the substance of the most commonly found with the lift non-priority lift national priority list which is whole discretion and determined by the most significant potential health due to their known and suspect toxicity human to the potential human exposure substance of the facility on the national priority list over the facility the response to the relief of the threat and relief the section under this reconsideration. Within 24 minutes of the enactment of the Superfund the Reauthorization Act 1986, the Administrator of the Agency for the Taxes of the Disease Registry and Administrator of the Environmental Protection Agency revived the list and prepared the subparagraph A of the revision shall include the order provided to the substance in addition to 100 more of the 100 has the substance in each of the 3 consecutive 12 months period found the Administrator of the Agency of Taxes and Substance Disease Registry Administrator Environmental Protection Agency revived the such man provide the 2 precedents essentially such list but include not more than 25 additional halves of the revisions. The Administrator of the Agency of Taxes and Substance Disease Registry Administrator of the Environmental Protection Agency shall not be left in the other 1 year of the era of the revised lift, including additional habits other than the conform with the criteria subparagraph A based on all available information, including information maintained paragraph 1B with the data developed with the collect with the health effect of the hair substance paragraph of the Administrator of the Agency Tax Substance Disease Registry shall prepare the taxological profile for the substance listed in paragraph of the 2 with the continued taxological provision profile shall be prepared within conform with the guidelines developed by the Administrator of the Agency Tax Substance Disease Registry for the Administrator of the Environmental Protection Agency such a profile that will include but not limited to each of the following: examination summary with the interpretation of available toxicological information, epidemiological evaluation of the head substance in order to a certain level of the significant human exposure for the substance associated with the acute and subacute chronic health effect, determining whether the adequate information of the health effect of each of the substances be able to process the development and determine the level of the exposure for the present, significant relief of the human health, the acute, subacute with the chronic health effects appropriate identification, toxicological, the need to identify the type of the level of the exposure that is present, significant relief, risk of adverse health effect for the humans of any of the toxicological profile division thereof shall reflect with the Administrator of the Agency Toxicological Substance Disease Registry. This is all relevant toxicological testing that has been peer reviewed. The profile of the required for the paragraph of those has something listed in paragraph A with the paragraph 2 shall be completed at no rate no fewer than 25 per year for the 4 year for the enactment of the Superfund Amendment Reauthorization Act. Profile required for the substance listed pursuant to paragraph B with this paragraph 2 with this complete within 3 years after additional list of the prepared profiles prepared on the paragraph shall be in the substance high for the list of the priors on paragraph 2 with the profile has not previously been prepared with the profile required on paragraph shall be revived as a republication necessary for the not less than once every 3 years. Such of the profile shall provide the state that may be available at to other interested parties. Administrative of the Agency Tax Substance Disease Registry to provide consultation with the upon request of the health issue of the relating to exposure to have the substance based on the available information to the Administrative Environmental Protection Agency, state official, local officials, consultants of the individual may be provided with the state cooperative agreements established under this act for each of the have listed in pursuant to the paragraph of the Administrator of the Agency Toxicological Substance Disease Registry, Consultation Administrator of the Environmental Agency, the other program of the public health interpreter shall accept the health substance available for any substance with adequate information available under development. Administrator of the Agency Toxicological Disease Registry, cooperation with the National Toxicological Program shall assure the initiation program the research designed to determine the health effect of the techniques, development methods, determining the health effect within each of the substances feasible with the scope of the program, such that each of the development methods determine the health effect of the substance with the combination of other substances were commonly found before. Assuring limitations of such program, the Ministry of the Agency of Toxicological Substance Disease Registry shall consider the recommendation of the testing committee established under paragraph E or E with the Tax Substance Control Act with the other type of research the choice to be done. Such program shall include the extent of the necessary supplement existing information on limited laboratory and other study to determine short and intermediate lung health for the laboratory to determine organs specific sites system-specific acute chronic toxicological toxicity. Laboratory other studies that determine the manner of the which substance and metal metabolites other developing understanding of the biochemical either any substance within which for the possibility of obtaining human data collection of such information. Assessing the need to perform laboratory other study requirements of the agency's toxicological disease registry consider available equally existing testing concerning with the substance of the subspect of the health effect of the question extent whether the testing already progressible timely fashion provided to have the adequate support of the preparation of toxicological profiles requiring paragraph 3 of the other significant scientific technical factors to ensure the agency toxicological substance disease registry is necessary for the effect of the implementation of the substance. The development and implementation of the research of the program of the paragraph administrator of the agency toxicological substance disease registry, the administrator of the environmental agency should conduct research and implement the paragraph of the national toxicological program the toxicological testing and toxicological substance control like federal insecticide, fungicide, redundant act for the purpose of the court and shall leave the void duplicate and the the hazards of the listed presume the subsection tested throughout the earliest practical day that probably consistent is the such purpose of the research program under the paragraph may be carried out under such program of toxicological testing. And so the research of the program and the paragraph of the people in the manufacturer profit that have the trouble with the question require the program of toxicological substance testing of the substance control act within 1 year of the enactment of the Superfund of the amendment of the Reauthorization. The environmental technology probably gave the regulation provide the property with the payment of the the manufacturer processor or toxic substance control act with the registration on the federal insecticide fungicide side the recovery of the substance the responsible party of this act. The administrator of the agency toxicological substance disease registry performing the health assessment each of the facility prior to lift establishing under section 105 of the health assessment completed no later December 1988 with each of the facility proposed with the inclusion of the list for the prior day of the enactment of the Superfund amendment of the Reauthorization Act 1986, no later than 1 year after the day of the proposal inclusion on the list of the facility proposed with inclusion on the list after the day of the enactment. Administrator of the agency toxicological disease registry may perform the health assessment and relieve the facility of the individual person listed licensed physician providing information individuals have been exposed to hazards of which are probable for the sort of exposure relief in addition with the method of formal and informal providing such information to the individual person listed licensed physician may submit the petition administrator of the agency toxicological substance disease registry providing such information requiring the health assessment of the physician submit with the administrator of the agency toxicological substance disease registry initiate the health assessment administrator of the agency toxicological substance disease registry provide the written explanation of why the health assessment is not appropriate. In determination prior to the contact with the health assessment under section of the paragraph of the agency toxicological substance disease registry for the cancellation of the administrator of the environmental technology shall provide the due for the facility documentation evidence relief that has with the potential risk of human health of the appropriate height of the wisdom of the judgment administrator of the agency toxicological substance disease registry seeking health assessment data inadequate of the potential risk of human health to provide so paragraph the evidence determining the priority of the constituting health assessment under the subsection is administrator of the agency substance toxicological disease registry that shall consider the national priority live schedule of the need of the environmental protection agency with the federal agency pursuant to the schedule of remedial investigation feasible study whether the health assessment of the national priority live administrator for the toxic substance disaster registry shall complete the assessment promptly with the maximum extent of the practical with the complete and the remedial investigation feasibility facility concerned. And state political subdivision carrying out the health assessment of the facility shall report the result of the assessment of the ministry of the agency's toxicological substance disease registry and ministry of the environmental protection agency with the association agency shall include the recognition with respect to the further activity needed to carry out the section ministry of the agency toxicological substance disease registry shall state the recognition and report with the result of the assessment was carried out directly with the administrator of the agency substance toxic substance disease registry. Such facility shall issue the periodic report that they include the result of the assessment carried out under the subsection. After the purpose of the subsection 11C4 with the health assessment include the primary assessment of the potential risk of the human health of the individual facility of the sites and facilities based on the fact of the nature of the extent of the contamination, the extent of the potential pathway of the human exposure, include the ground surface of the contamination, air emission of the final food chain contamination, inside of the potential successfully community likely pathway of the exposure, the comparison expected the human exposure level of short-term and long-term of the human health effects associated with the identified habit of the substance they're able to recommend exposure tolerance is limited by the hazards of the comparison existing with the morbidity, mortality, death of the disease associated with the observed level of exposure to the ministry of the agency toxic substance disease registry shall the appropriate risk assessment, risk evaluation site available to the administrator of the environmental protection agency. The purpose of the health assessment within the subsection shall determine with the action of the paragraph 11 the subsection shall take with the reduce the human exposure to the health is substance from the soul of the additional of the information the human exposure associated with the health risk and either distributed required with the conducting epidemiological safety of the paragraph 7 of the establishing registry for the aid without having health surveillance on the paragraph of the time. There are other means for the result of the health assessment determining additional action to be taken under the section administrative of the agency toxicological substance disease registry. They make additional information for the risk of potential effects of the pollution population. All the sources of the substance has include the known the point of the non-points over the other those of the facility in question. The completion of that each of the health assessment administrator of the agency's toxicological substance disease registry administrator of the EPA over the effectiveness of the result of the assessment with the title together the recommendation further association subsection other within the other section addition the health assessment indicate the release threatened release concern the may receive the threatened human health environmental administrator of the agency's toxicological substance disease registry notify the administrator of the EPA with it will show the properly evaluate the relief of the right and relief of the core for the heads ranking system refer to the section 105 ADA to determine the site of the shall be play for the national priority for the site of the already lifted the administrator of the agency toxicological substance disease registry American recommended the administrator EPA with the site of the court with a higher priority. Whenever the judgment administrator of the agency toxicological substance disease registry appropriately with the result of the health assessment administrator of the agency toxicological substance disease registry with the result of the health assessment shall conduct with the pilot study of the health effect of the select of the group of the individuals in order to determine the desirability of the conduct with the full scale of the epidemiological or other health study of the entire exposed to the population. Whenever the judgment administrator of the toxicological substance disease registry and the appropriate basis of the result of the pilot study of the other study of the health assessment administrator agency toxicological substance disease registry should conduct with the full scale epidemiological or health study of the may be necessary to determine the health effect of the population for the health has suffered the relief of the threat and the relief of the significant except of the disease of the population identified the lateral transmit with the other states such that it included the assessment of the other factor the other relief of the may be in judgment of the peer review group because especially with the these and the risk of the factor will not be taken into account of the design of the conduct for the study. In any case, if the result of the health assessment indicate the potential significant risk of the human health administrator of the agency toxicological substance disease registry consider established from the registry of the exposed person country to the establishing purpose of the subsection taking account of the and the bearing usefulness of the registry, including the series of the new character identify the disease likelihood population of the migration and affected area. Whenever the administrator of the agency toxicological substance disease registry with the determined the significant increase of the risk of the adverse health effect of the human exposure to the human substance based hazard substance based on the result of the hazmat health assessment conducted the paragraph C with the epidemiological study conducted in paragraph 7 of the exposure registry that has been settled in paragraph 8 with the administrator of the agency's toxicological substance disease registry determined with the exposure for the result of the relief that administrator of the agency toxicological substance disease registry shall initiate health service program with each of the population program shall include the unlimited periodic medical testing for the population subgroup of the screen of the disease in which the population subgroup significant increase and mechanism refer to the treatment individual with the population screen positive the disease tiers after the day of the enactment Superfund and then of the Reauthorization 1986 every 2 years thereafter administrator of the agency toxicological substance disease registry shall prepare the submit the administrator of the EPA with the Congress report with the result of the activity associated agency toxicological substance disease registry regarding the health assessment pilot effect for the study of the conducted epidemiological study conducted as a substance which be listed in paragraph 2 of the toxicological profiles with developed and toxicological testing conducted which way to be conducted under the subsection registry established in paragraph 8 of the overall assessment of the result of the activity conducted by the administrator of the agency toxicological substance disease registry linkage between the human exposure and the individual combination that has the relief of the study covered in the act of solid waste disposal act with the increase in incident with the prevalence of the adverse health effects of the humans and of health assessment of the other show over other should carried out under the paragraph subsection finding that the exposure of the concern for the president the significant risk of the human health of the president shall take the step to make necessary the reduce the exposure to eliminate with the substantial mitigate the significant risk of the human health of the assessment including any authority with the act included but unlimited provision alternative water supply permanent temporary with reduction relocate the individual and get the information sufficient judgment of the administrator of the agency toxicological substance disease ready to the president determine the significant human exposure level respect with the hazards of the president that may be taken with the may be necessary to review the exposure for the aim of the person have the substance of the level the president may deem necessary to protect the human. In any case which subject with the position of the health assessment of the research program under the subsection nothing in the subsection shall contribute and delay with the otherwise effectively impair with the authority of the president of the agency toxicological substance disease registry and administrator of the EPA of the extra of the authority with the president administrator of the agency of the agency of the toxicological disease registry of the administrator of the EPA and the other provision law and not limited to the imitation. Eminent have the authority of the section 7003 with solid waste disposal act with the responsibility of the abatement of the authorities of this act. All studies result of the research conducted of the subsection other health assessment shall be reported adopted appropriate the peer review. The peer review shall be completed with the maximum extent of the practical the period with the 60 day of the case of the research and with national technological programs, psychological programs of the peer review conducted with the board of scientific counselors and other research with the peer review with the conduct of the parallel panels consistent with no less than 3 or no more than 7 members shall be disinterested in scientific experts for the purpose of the administrator of the agency Toxicological Club of the Disease Registry, the administrator of the EPA is appropriate to be for the repetition of the scientific job of the lack of the institutional to have any person involved in the conduct of the study with the research under the review supported services with the such panel to provide with the agency toxicological substance disease registry environmental protection agencies are appropriate. Implementation subject to the other health related authority of the administrator of the agency toxicological substance disease registry shall assemble to develop the necessary to distribute the state of the record of the medical ecological tradition related exposure has something to given the prior to lift the which does administer the agency toxicological substance disease registry of the activity administrator of the agency toxicological of the disease registry described in the section and subsection section 11 111 C4 carried out with the administrator of the agency toxicological substance disease registry but either directly through the cooperative agreement of the state of the subdivision thereof with the administrator of the agency toxicological substance disease registry capable of substance activities of the provision cancellation health information conduct of the health assessment with them required by the section 3019 of the ways of the lack of the health and registries of the health surveillance. The president should provide with adequate personnel with the agency toxicological substance disease registry which shall not be fewer than 100 employees for the purpose of determining the number that are employed with the subsection employed and by the agency toxicological substance disease registry and subsection employed with the agency toxicological for part-time career employment basis should be conducted with the fraction of the determined divided by the 40 years of the average number of the hours employed with the regular scheduled work week. In accordance with Section 120 of the relating federal facility and administrative of the agency toxicological substance disease registry shall have the same authorities under the section of the respective facilities owned and operated with the Department of the Agency instrumental United States of the administrator agency toxicological substance disease registry with respect to the non-governmental entity. The administrator of the agency toxicological substance disease registry determine the appropriate for the purpose of the section treatment of pollutant contaminant and the of such pollutant contamination treatment that has substance of such purposes. Alright, Section 111, the use from Section 111, circular is remember the interpreting of the following the the purpose of the specified of the section authorized for the appropriate with the head of the substance super from the subject of the 98 the internal rule of the 1986 for $8.5 billion over the 5-year beginning with the day of the enactment from the amendment of the Reauthorization Act of 1986 for the substance remain able to until the expand with the proceeding sentence considering the specific authorization of the funds appropriate with the Title 2 with the Public Law 99-160 relating to the payment of the head of the trust fund. The use of the fund under the Section 111A with 111A with the circular is amendment with the striking out the end of the paragraph. Insert the period of the striking out the semicolon the end of the paragraph 1 to the insert the loop with the period with the capitalization first left with the paragraph 1 and 4 by adding with the end of the thereof the grants of the technical certificate of the grants under the Section 117 with relating to the public for participating grant of the technical certificate contamination over the payment and not exceeding the $15 million of the cost of the pilot program removal of the contamination of their action respective of the lead contaminations over the only 3 different metropolitan areas. Now, the natural resource damage claims. Limitation 6 level the circle of amendment of the interpreting the general after and being added there of the new paragraph of limitation payment of the natural resource claim of the general requirement of the natural resource of the claim of the best be paid with the fund of the unless the presidential determined of the claim and exhaust of the all the ministry of the judicial remedy of the recovery and the amount of the subsequent claim of the person that may be liable under 107. Definition: as you the backup of the term of the natural resource claim of the being of the claim of the injury of the destruction of the natural resource of the term does not include the aim of the claim of the cover of the natural resource of the damage of the cost assessment. The conforming amendment of section 11 and H for the circulated the repeal subsection amendment of section 11 and C4 of the 11 111 C4 the circulated the amendment of the striking down of the cover of the epidemic stone of the aim of the cover of the incurred with the corner of the subsection M of the section relating to the agency toxicological substance disease registry the section 104.1 and include the epidemiological laboratory show the health assessment preparation technological profile. New paragraph in section 11C with 11C of the circle of the amendment of the striking of the end of the paragraph 5 of the insert of the period of the striking of the semicolon and the end of the paragraph 1 and 4 with the insert there of the period of capital of the third level of the paragraph 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6. Adding there over the following evaluation cover the under the position of the provision section 105D with the cover incurred by the president evaluating so the pursuing the petition section 5 of the Reauthorization relating to the position assessing of the relief. The contract covered under Section 104A, the contract with agreement to the Section 104A, they oversee the review, the conduct of the remedial investigation, feasibility of the undertaking of the person other than present, cause appropriate federal state oversight of the remedial activity, national priority, side of the resulting in the consent of the order of settlement of the agreement acquisition cost of the under Section 104J of the cost of the president requiring the real estate with the interest of the real estate under Section 104J relating to acquisition of property. Research and development, the demonstration of the covenant under Section 311 of the covenant carrying out the Section 311 relating to the research development, the demonstration of the expected amount available to each for the person not exceed the amount of the specified in subsection N of Section local government reimbursement local the government under Section 123 with the expenditure during the 5 official year of the period of the Act of First 1960, but not more than 1/10 of a percent of the total amount of the appropriated fund may be used in such reimbursement. We're training with the education grant, the conflict grant for the end Section 1126 of the Superfund Fund Reauthorization Act of 1986 for the training and education the work extent of the session of the COVID of $10 million for each of the fiscal years 1987 and 89, 90, 91. War in Section 109 call for the any with the war grant in Section 119 and lead positions of the call for the carrying out the instrument of the owner of subsection F of the 118 Superfund Amendment Reauthorization Act of 1986 relating to the lead position of the children. Limitation of a certain level of the claim. With the Section 11 and E1 with the circles demand the end of the following money with the following with the payment of the claim. Under subsection A and 3 with the subsection of the B with the section of the official within the present term of the fund need the response to the threats for the public health, the relief of the threat and threat and release of hazardous substance. Fund G with the outside of the federal royal property boundary section 11 3 E with the circle of the demand with the inserting the fund before the period with the expense of the money with the fund shall be available provision alternate water supply and include the reimbursement of cost incurred with the municipality and keep the revolve of the groundwater contagion outside of the boundary federally owned facility with the federally owned facility not on potential responsible party. Your Inspector General Section 11K 111K with the circle of demand with the response of the Inspector General each of the facility with the Inspector General the Department agent for the instrumental United States with the carrying out of the authority with the air act with the should conduct with the annual audit of all the payments obligation and reimbursement of the purposes of the with the proper fiscal year of the issue with the power funds the properly sure the funds are properly administered with the claim to the end properly the expectation that expedites considerably the audit with the examination sample agreement and say that in accordance with the single audit with the act carrying out the response action over this tab of the examination rule and the investigation feasible to prepare with the remedial action. Inspector General shall submit to the Congress an annual report regarding the audit report required for them under the subsection report shall contain the recommendation Inspector General deemed the appropriate each department agents for the instrumental United States shall cooperate with the Inspector General carrying out the subsection. Alright, new subsection 11 111 the file section. It's substances registry directly available to the agency tax of the disease registry to be for the purpose of carrying out the activity described in subsection C4 with the section 104.1. No less than $50 million per fiscal year for each of the fiscal year 1957 to 1988. Not less than $55 million for the fiscal year 1989. Not less than $60 million for the fiscal year of the 1991. Any fund available obligated in the fiscal year which will be available to return the fund. Limitation of the fund research development demonstration program. Section 311 for each of the fiscal year of the 1987, 87, 88, 89, 99. 91, no more than $20 million of the amount available to fund with maybe for the purpose of the carrying out the apply for the research development the demonstration of the program of the alternative the initiative of the technology training the program and authorizing section 311 B with relating to the research development and demonstration of the other basic research for the amount of the marine available until expended. Such section 311A with from the amounts available to the fund not more than following the amount of the maybe for the purpose of the 311A relating to heads of the research to demonstrate the training activity for 3 million 10 87 10 million 88 89 20 million 93 30 million 91, 31, 35 million. No more than 10% of the amount with the training under Section 311A with the fiscal year of Section 311 of the fiscal year 1987, 88, 89, 90, 91 for more than $55 million of the amount available to fund the Navy purpose of Section 311 relating to the university have the substance research. Notification procedure limitations from payment of the normal date of the 90 day of the enactment of the subsection of the President shall develop the inland procedure adequately notify the practicable to decide whether include the national priority to live at the local, state, and official with the other concerned person limitation with the with the subsection A2 with the section payment the billing with the necessary response incurred with respect to the such authorization appropriation section 11.1 the circle of depending with the adding of the following subsection section O and general revenue share funds in general the following some of the authorized the appropriate out with any of the money treasury not other appropriate that has something superfunded 87 to 212.5 million dollars 89 $212.5 million 89 90 91. In addition, they authorize appropriately for that Superfund with each of the amount equal to the response for the aggregated amount of the authorized for the appropriate amount of the subsection paragraph 2 with the 221 with the head of substance response the recovery of the number and appropriate before beginning with the official year involved. Computation amount with the authorized and appropriately earned per capita one of the subsection. Give the official year with the available and the extent of the amount with the extent exceed the amount of the term of the secondary on section 507B2 of the Internal Revenue Code 1986 for the prior official year. All right, section 112, the claims and procedure. The claim with the game of the phone with the response call for the section 112 of the A with the circular with the demand with the reads file with the claim with the game of the phone with the response call with the no claim with the maybe is as served with the with the filing funds pursuant to the 11A1 with the left of the claim is presented with the first inch for the side of the opponent or the guarantee of the best facility which after someone has been released known the claimant and any other person known that the claimant will be liable under section 107 and any capital claimant would not be satisfied in 60 days with the presentation with the court with the subsection the claimant again for the phone with the proof with the certified during the pendency of the action of the claimant in the court the covered cover the evidence subject of the claim. Proceed with the section 112 of the B of the and striking out B1 and striking B1 prescribing the form of the proceed with the striking out P2, 3, and 4 with the internal cover of the payment of the request for the hearing the president may have to satisfy with the information developed during the process of the claimant warrant to make pay and award to claimant with except for the no claimant may be awarded to the extent of the judicial judgment that may been made by the cover of the subject of the claim of the president the claimant obey all the part of the claim of the claimant made within 30 days of the receiving notification of the president's decision required the administrative hearing burden of proof. Any proceeding under the subsection claim of the burden of proof provide proving the claim of the decision administrative decision have the year under the writing of the notification appropriate part of the shall be rendered within 90 days of the submission of the claim the administrative law judge and left of the party of the claim and the group of the written with the extension apply unleft for the president with the discretion extent of the time limit of the period not less than not to exceed 60 days. Finality and appeal. All administrative decision of the shall have the meaning of the party proceeding that may appeal with the decision 30 days of the notification award. The decision shall appeal with the made with the federal district court of the district relief of the threat with the relief took place within such appeal of the decision considered with the banning of the collusion shall be overturned with the exception of the arbitrary capricious abuse of the discretion payment within 20 days of the expiration of the appeal of the administrative decision concerning an award within 20 days of the final judgment determining an appeal. Taken pursuant the subject of the president shall pay any of the award for the final of the president shall determine the method of the term at the time of the payment. State of the limitation section 1112 with the circular is amendment of the reach follow the statute limitation claim with the cover the cost no claim the percent of the section of the cover the cost that refer to the section 107 after the day of the 6th year of the day of the completion of the response activity action. Claim for the recovered the damage of the name no claim the present of the section the recovered the damage of the refer to the section 107A on life of the claim and present within 3 years after the labor of the filing. The day of the discovery of the loss of the connection with the relief of the question. The day of the final regulation promulgated under section 301C of the minor incompetencies and competence. Some limitation of the here shall not be run by and against any minor earlier the day of the minor reach 18 years of age which with the legal representative the duly appointed for the minor and against the incompetent person with the earlier the day of the subject with the day of legal cover section 112 the circle of it is made with the subsection and the third and thereof the double recovery prohibited with the president has applied the out of the fund rounds called for the end of the social costs specified under section 11C 1 other claim may be paid out of the fund of the same cost. Section 113 litigation jurisdiction venue the nationwide nationwide for the section 113 shall live the following the new subsection thereof the nationwide for the action the act for the baby where the defendant is found with the reside the transact business with employment with the again agent of the service without the contribution of the state of limitation section 113 shall live the adding the following new subsection thereof the contribution any person with received the contribution from the A of the person liable potential liable the owner section 107A during the following civil action under section 106 for the owner 107A of the claim of the brought in accordance with the section federal rules and civil procedure that should be the federal law resolve the contribution of the claim of the court may be allocated the responsibility among liable parties of the equatable the fact of the court determines as appropriate nothing in the subsection with the diminished for the right of the gaining person the beginning action with the contribution they have to the civil action 106 and 107 state of the settlement with the person who resolved the liability of the United States of the state of the administration of the judicially approved of the settlement is not liable to claim of the contribution regarding the matter of the draft of the settlement. The term of the settlement does not destroy any of the potential liable person under the term to provide the potential liability of the other members of the settlement. 3. The person no part settlement if the United States of the state of the obtained less to the relief of the person with the resolve of the liability of the United States of the state of the administration of the judicial approval of the statement settlement of the United States of the state of the bringing an action against the person who has not been resolved of the liability. B. Any person who has resolved the liability of the United States with all the response action, some of the cost of some of the such action with the administrator of the judicial approve the settlement of the maybe contribution of the end of the person not party of the settlement referred to paragraph 2. But the action of the paragraph right for the person to resolve the liability of the United States with the state of the subordinate rights of the United States with the state of the Contribution Act of the problem of the paragraph shall be governed federal law. Period in which the action may be brought with action natural resource damage except for the paragraph 3 and 4 of the annual action comments for the damage of the defined section 101C 6 under the act unless the action commenced in 3 years after the later of the filing. The day of the discovery of the in connection with the release question, the day of the regulation promulgated within 310C. With respect to the facility listed in the national priority of the federal facility, the identified in section 120 relating to the federal facility, any missile facility with a remedial action under the section act with the otherwise scheduled with the action of the damage of the act with the commencement in 3 years after the completion of the remedial action, excluding operation of the name of the activity with the date of the referred to with the subparagraph A and B with the event of action over the damage of the act with respect of the vessel facility with the commencement of the one prior to the 96 days of the federal state natural resource trustee provided the president of the potential responsibility for the intent of the LLC with the two of the on both for selection of the remedial action president of the remedial investigation feasibility in the section 104A and 120 relating to the federal facility with limitations seen the of the commencing action before giving notice of the for selecting remedial action does not apply by the action field before the enactment of the Superfund amendment the Reauthorization Act after the recovery of the initial act of the recovery with section 1 of the comments. Removal of the action within 3 for the after the completion removal of the action the recovery after may be involved with the security determination for the grade with the 14C is 1C with the continue the response after the remedial action for the initiative of the physical status of the constructive remedial action except with the remedial action limited initiative within 3 years after the completion of the removal action within curb with the removal action recovered with the call for the recovery action brought on the subparagraph. Any of this action described with the subsection of the core of the declaration and the declaratory judgment of liability response call for the damage of the binding with a subsequent act for the action of recovery for the response of the call for the damage subsequent act for the action under section 107 the response of the call for the facility vessels and maintain at any time during the response action of the commencement no later than 3 years after the date of completion of the response action except for the otherwise provided in the paragraph any of the action commenced on section 107 of the recovery call for the time after the call has incurred. Contribution no action contribution any of the response content call for the damages commenced within 3 years after the day of the judgment any of the action when the act of the recovery call for the damage of the day of the administrative order under section 122G with the list of the settlement of the 122H with the call for settlement with the judicial approval of the settlement with respect to the gain of such costs and damages. For subrogation, no action may be based on the release of subrogated the person pursuant with the section over the reason for the payment of the claim to be commenced with the title more than 3 years after the date of the payment of such claim. 5. Actions to recover the indemnification of the indemnification whether the payment presumed with the indemnification of the agreement with the response action of the contract actor that may be on section 119 action under section 107 for the cover the indemnification of the indemnification payment of the potentially responsible party of the may be brought any time before the expiration of the year of the day of the claims made. The time of the danger shall not be run but against the minor earlier with the day with the such the minor reaches 18 years of age with which with the legal representative duly appointed with such minor. Again, the person earlier with the day with the incompetent and with the day with the legal representative duly appointed for the such incompetent. Per the enforcement review. Conforming an amendment to section 11.3b, 113b with the circular with the amendment with the striking out subsection turning with the subsection turning H and A after A. Timing review the administrative record for the 113 circular with the amendment adding with the end of the following new subsection of the time and the review the no federal court with the jurisdiction parallel to section 113.32 with the title A20 with the United States Code the relating diversity of the certain jurisdiction under the state level the applicable relevant and appropriate on section 121 relating with the cleanup standard the review of the channel of the removal of the remedial action. Select on section 104 the review the overissue of the section 106 and any of the actions except the following and section 107 with the response call for the contribution action enforcing and issuing on section 106A with the recover the penalty of the violation of such order and action reimbursement on section 106B2 with the action on section 310 with the relating to citizenship alleging the removal of the action taken over the section 104 secure on section 106 with the violation any of the requirement of action such the action not brought with regard to the removal of remedial action with the undertaken on the site. Any action under section 106 of the United States that had been removed with the remedial action. Intervention. Any action commenced with the act with the solid waste disposal of the court of the United States with the interview with the man with the right with such for the claim and the interest related with the public action over the situation with the disposition action with the person practical man with the impaired with the impaired P with the personal ability with the particular the interest of the present state show with the personal interest with the adequate plan with the existing parties. Judicial review. Limitation. Any judicial action with the judicial review of the access and the issue concerning the adequate response action taken in order with the presidential limited administrative record for the otherwise applicable to apply the administrative level of the shall be governed with any supplemental material to be considered by courts. They consider objection to raised any of the judicial action when they act with the court shall be upheld the present decision selected with the response action left with the other objection party can be demonstrated with the administrative record with the decision arbitrarily capricious, otherwise not in accordance with law. Remedy if the court finds the selection of the response action arbitrary and pursue otherwise not in accordance with the law of the court, which shall be out of order. The response of the damage inconsistent with the national contingency plan, other relief of the consistency with the national contingency plan. Procedural error. The reviewing the alleged procedural error of the court may allow cost of damage only if the errors are sheer the relief of the manner of the such consensual relevance actions of the would have been significantly changed if have such an error made. Administrative records participation procedure of the administrative record with the president shall establish the administrative record around with the president shall believe that the selection of the response action administrative record shall be available to the public near the facility issued for the president may duplicate the administrative record of any of the other locations. Participating procedures. Removal action. The president shall promulgate the regulation in accordance with Chapter 5 of the Title 5 of the United States Code, establishing and procedure the appropriate participation and interest in the development of the administrative record thereon with the president, which based selection removal action on which judicial review of the removal action will be based. Remedial action. The president shall provide the participation and interest party, person including the potential responsible party to develop the administrative record. The president will base the selection of the remedial action, which judicial review of the remedial action will be based for the procedure developed in some paragraph that include the minimum of the type of the following with the potential for the person public with the company with the brief analysis of the plans and alternative plan with conservative responsible opportunity to comment that provided the information regarding plan opportunity with the public meeting with the effect of the accordance with the section 117A due and relating to public participation responsibly each of the significant comments with criticism, new data submitted with the written oral presentations, a statement of the basis of the purpose of selected action. Alright, for purpose of the subparagraph, the administrative record show all items developed receive the subparagraph of the items described in the second sentence of the section 11.7d, the president shall probably give the regulation with the Chapter 5 of Title 5 of the United States Code to care of the requirements of the subparagraph of the interim record of the uses of the regulation aimed to probably with the administrative record shall typically items developed receive the presumed the current procedure selection response action, including the procedure of the percentage of the interested party publicly developed in the administrative record, the selection prior response action under the action, including judiciary hearing. Responsible party. The president shall make the responsible identify the non-notified potential responsible parties as early as before the selection responsible action notified the party shall be constructed with the defense of liability. Defense of liability. Notification. Notice the action whenever the action is brought under the act of the court of the United States. Other than the United States, the claim shall provide the copy of the claim compliant with the Attorney General of the United States, Administrator of the Environmental Protection Agency. Section 111, 114. Relation to the other law. The use of oil. Section 111, 4. See the circular is man with the recyclable oil certification. The if no person, including the United States, or any other state, but may recover the authority of Section 8 and 4 of the Section 111 section certification of the dealer within response to the damage resolved, resulting from the relief of the threatened relief of the recyclable oil authority of the Section 106 against the service station dealer other than person described in the way A1, A2 of the Section 107 recycle oil. It is not made for the other has and suffered to be with this ordinance. Yeah.